Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome to Monster Energy Supercross 3, the official video game, where today we're going to be talking about the prospect that Supercross may be returning in 2020. That is right, folks. After a couple months hiatus from Supercross due to the coronavirus, Supercross may be coming back. And what is leading into all this is that Supercross Live, Feld Entertainment, they put out on their social feeds this afternoon. We are back, and as you can tell, that's probably in reference to the fact that they are planning on coming back to racing. They said an announcement is coming tomorrow. Not sure when exactly tomorrow that will be coming, but I wanted to get a rapid response reaction out to the situation that has been unfolding and kind of try to, offer up as much information about it all as I can. In the next couple minutes here, so you guys feel pretty well informed about what might be coming before we get tomorrow's announcement. So first of all, it's been rumored for a long time that this is going to potentially be happening. We've been hearing May 31st as the date that Supercross will be returning for, maybe almost a month at this point. It's been a while, but definitely a fairly long amount of time. Where to the point where we've even seen riders, posting on social media and stuff like that. Yeah, like they are getting back and grinding Supercross, and it's a lot through hearsay and stuff like that. But essentially the point that we'd been hearing was Feld was specifically looking for, one location where they can host 7 races in a short time frame and get the last 7 rounds of the championship actually done and completed. Now, where that was going to be has been a kind of a question for debate for, the entire time since we've heard it, basically. The initial, one that everybody had heard was Glendale, which would be at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. And there was actually even some traction given to that yesterday when Arizona Governor Doug Ducey said that as of May 15th, all sports, Major League Sports in Arizona will be able to operate again just within strict CDC guidelines and without fans, which he basically said is, MLB, NHL, NFL, Major League Soccer, NBA, etc. They can all operate in Arizona again as of May 15th. And you and I probably both would have thought, well, that's a huge shot in the arm for Operation Glendale, as I am choosing to call it. But this entire time, we've also, not entire time, I feel like more recently, there's been a lot of rumors and things like that coming out about a different location than Glendale, perhaps even Houston, which I'm riding right now in the game, or, Las Vegas was brought up, St. Louis was brought up, Salt Lake City was brought up, Tampa was brought up, a lot of different options, and what's for sure going to happen yet, we don't know. That is what the announcement tomorrow will be giving us, but we can speculate, and there's a decent chance it could be Arizona. MXA Motocross Action even came out in the article claiming for a fact it will be Salt Lake City. We don't know for sure exactly, but like I said, I had been even hearing from a couple other people than the people I work with at RacerX Online that Glendale may be a backup option at this point, or they've been experimenting with a lot of different ideas. But whatever it is, it sounds like the plan would definitely be to get racing started at the end of May into June and finish off in late-ish June so that they can be done before the Nationals would start, which would be at the beginning of July. And that's all tentative right now because this is all still so up in the air. Nothing is set in stone, and even if it is set in stone, it doesn't mean it will stay there. There's been regulations and rule changes going on all over the place, and even as we saw with this Moto Fight Club thing yesterday, it's not like it's going to be as easy as everybody says it's going to be. Like you're going to have to be really hard on restrictions and stuff like that, and local governments will still probably try to get things shut down if they can, and other things like that. So it is not going to be set in stone whatsoever that whatever plan they come out with tomorrow will hold for the next month, especially if the procedures that we've been hearing about how they would test things and stuff like that don't hold true. They don't have a union like baseball or NFL or NBA or whatever, where they can essentially hold all the athletes in one location and test them rigorously and stuff like that. Like, they can ask them to, but they're not, they aren't contractually obligated to do so. So we had heard all the teams are going to be moving to some parking lot at whatever track it was going to be. There's going to be, different areas and locations that everything would be staged through, and there'd be rigorous testing and stuff like that. But the athletes themselves aren't going to be cordoned off to one hotel or resort. They can freely go and come as they please. So that's going to raise a whole different set of problems with what happens if an athlete gets coronavirus while they're still racing this series, and how does that go moving forward. So a lot of questions to be answered there, but what we do know is that Supercross does now appear to have a plan set in place for returning, which I'm very excited for. This season has been insane with Ken Rocks and Eli Tomac battling all the way through, and Cooper Webb was in there for a little bit, and he might come back to make this thing interesting down the stretch and all that stuff like that. But as a fan, it was going to be a bummer to not see this Rocks and Tomac battle actually played out for 17 rounds, because we'd been waiting for years for something like that to happen, and for it to falter, mid-season like that was a little bit of a disappointing moment. But at least now we know there's going to be some racing happening. A couple things I wanted to hit on with this is the kind of things that don't sit well with me in this situation. Like I said, very excited to get back racing and all that business. However, I just don't like the way this whole thing was handled, personally speaking. Like, aside from working in the media, I just want to remove myself from that and talk as if I was a fan of the sport. And one thing that I don't like about this was the look and the appearance of this entire situation that Feld and Supercross Live gave off from the beginning. Initially, there was plenty of discussions going on about we're going to have to look after nationals and try to come up with a plan in September, October to field races. And, that was even kind of almost confirmed by Dave Prater when he did a round of media, interviews and stuff like that about a month or so ago. Maybe it was a little over a month. And that's all fine and dandy if that is the plan that they eventually come up with doing. However, the plan kept changing, and we, working at Racer X, knew the plan was changing, but fans didn't really know. There wasn't any, good public information that Feld was putting out saying, these are what we're thinking about. We're monitoring the situations of these areas. We're trying to get in touch with teams and stuff like that. None of that was public knowledge. So a lot of the stuff that Racer X was even reporting on was kind of like we've heard this, but we don't know for sure, which we still don't. We don't know for sure that any of this is going to be accurate. We just, have our sources and have tried to accurately report everything as well as we possibly can. But Feld was radio silent, and I just don't like that, because all these other sports leagues have been so diligent about being open and honest from day one about the situation. I would say the most close comparison you could have to this are NBA and NHL, because they were already in the middle of their season when this whole thing started, and they've had to kind of readjust to the entire situation. And if you actually go to NHL.com, there is an entire section on the front page of the website dedicated to updated news about the situation and how they're planning on going forward with their season and when practice facilities are opening and all this stuff like that. And not a lick of news about it on supercrosslive.com. And that just upsets me, because it looks like it makes the entire sport, not just Supercross, look kind of bush league. Like, here's these hick motocross riders that don't even know how to update their own athletes about when the racing may commence, or their fans, or the media, or anybody. Now, it has been very heavily rumored and pretty much confirmed that Feld has been closely contacting teams, and athletes have said teams to let them know that they are actively trying to find a plan and something to get it in before the outdoor championship would start, which a lot of the teams have been reportedly very happy about. They want to get Supercross done before Nationals, so that's a positive there. But just say anything, man. They're leaving so many people out in the dark without updated information. And why I don't like it, and why it bothers me, is that MX Sports and the Outdoor Nationals have been very good and open about the entire situation from day one. Like, we're monitoring the situation. We are going to try our best to get these races in. This is when we're trying to do them. This is how we assume we'll be able to run it. They developed a race leadership team of people to try to get, Loretta Lynn's and all these, different amateur national championships ran this season, including the outdoor nationals. They started the Safe to Race Toolkit, which is, helped them get their GNCC program back to racing this weekend at Aonia Pass in Georgia. They have been working their butts off and publicly said so. Like, this is their plan. This is what they're going to do. And it just doesn't sit well with me that Feld kind of sat on their hands with all this information, and then suddenly we're about 2 weeks away from that May 31st date when it should be starting. And if they just drop the news tomorrow that bam, we're going racing May 31st and this is all the news, it's like, where was this all along? Like, yeah, I'm sure the riders and teams know. How about anybody else? Like, regardless of who needs to know, just give us any little bit of information about what you're thinking, because everything that we've had to report on Racer X has been hearsay. It hasn't been official word from Feld. It hasn't been official this or that. There hasn't been any official PRs or anything like that since Prater did his, run through of all media about a month ago. And I just don't like that. MX Sports deserves a lot of praise for how hard that they've been approaching this situation and trying to, stay on top of it and get a series ran. I think Feld is in the opposite direction. I think that they should, actually, they're going to be praised for getting the series, together and ran. But, I mean, just the fact that they were so quiet about it for so long, I don't like that at all. You got to be more open about it. I was on the Pulp MX wrap-up show last week with Justin Starling. This was 4 days ago. I was on the phone with Justin Starling, maybe 5 days ago now, let me think. And he had no idea either. Like, he was like, yeah, I've heard May 31st, I think. We don't know where we're racing yet. We don't know exactly when. And that to me is just like, come on. Like, Justin Starling, main event guy on the 250 East Coast. He's going to be on a new team when we get back to racing. But, like, that is a guy that is going to be at this wherever they race. And to not have the information that he needs to know about when racing is going to be getting started, it just doesn't sit well with me. Anyway, beside that point, another person or another group of people that kind of lose out in this situation is people who may have assumed that when Feld initially was talking about looking at options after nationals, they went and did stuff like RJ Hampshire, who said, all right, well, if Supercross isn't going to be ran until after nationals, Supercross is kind of more important to me. I want to get my Supercross championship if I can. And he went and got his ACL fixed. He got ACL reconstructive surgery because he had torn it in December. And he, started the season with a torn ACL and was trying to ride through. And he was, I think, 3rd or 4th in the 250 East Championship. Well, he went and got that surgery, and now he will not be able to line up for whatever this, thing is that Feld puts on when it happens and where it happens. If it's May 31st through June 25th or whatever, he's not on the gate for it, which sucks because he openly said, like, I was more interested in caring about Supercross and battling for this championship, so let me get fixed up, and if it means I skip nationals, I skip nationals. But I just, like I said, like, that was because of the misinformation. There wasn't any real concrete solid evidence of what exactly Feld's plan and intention was out there. And Hampshire, I guess, it's his fault. He went on rumors and hearsay and stuff like that, but he went and got fixed up, which isn't the worst idea if he wants to try to win a championship when they get racing again. And now they're starting 3 months before they said they were maybe going to start, or initially after this whole thing started. So anyway, just a bunch of weird misinformation that's kind of carried over. And I'm honestly, I've been pretty critical of MX Sports in the past. I think they've done a pretty good job here, and I don't think Feld did an equal share of that job in informing the public of what is happening. So that's my thoughts on that. Regardless of which, still very happy that Supercross is starting here soon. I'm really looking forward to it as well because, like I said, this Eli Tomac championship and all that stuff is going to be crazy with Ken Roxon. But The 250 East and West Championships, we believe, are going to be wrapped up just as normal. There's going to be 7 races. I don't know if they're going to do both shootouts still, but there's supposed to be 4 rounds of West racing left and 5 rounds of East racing left to complete their 10 and 9 round race series respectively. There would have been 2 showdowns between both of those classes. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I still do believe they're going to try to finish off all championships and not just the 450 championship. So we'll see, kind of how that shakes down, and we'll see who's even invited. Like I said, there was some talk about how this whole thing is going to be ran and where everyone is going to be stationed. And I think another big topic here is who's going to be invited. I don't think all the privateers are going to be invited, unfortunately. I think they're going to, limit it to a select amount of people so they keep within a certain quota of racers and riders that are there. There's only so many people that they could have at the stadium in the first place. They want to just have a rider and a mechanic, but that's pretty tough for a lot of these big factory teams to have. So curious to see how that plays out. There's a lot of things that we need answered tomorrow, and I'm hoping that tomorrow's announcement really gives us a full, scope and detail of it. And this is tomorrow, May 14th, by the way, that we're talking about. So I'm sorry if this news becomes irrelevant, but I just wanted to get, a quick rapid reaction to the pseudo announcement of the announcement that Supercross is returning. They've made the post, we are back, or we are coming back, and that's that. So we're expecting news tomorrow. We're looking forward to seeing what is said and what they have to say, and hopefully it's going to be positive news for us Supercross fans to get back to racing sooner rather than later. But I appreciate you guys stopping by, watching another video here. Hopefully this video was, informative, and you guys got a pretty good sense about everything. If there's any other questions you want to ask, be sure to head down to the comment section below and, shoot me a message, and I'd be happy to answer your questions. But I appreciate you guys stopping by again as always, and we'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.